This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. And
oh, good. Ooh, no! Thank you.
Me.
Football Film Federation, footballfilmfederation.org. The Coaches Technology Convention takes place Saturday, April 26th, and Sunday, the 27th. And somebody very much involved with this is a longstanding friend of yours truly's. His name is Chad Ostlund with the Football Film Federation. And Chad joins us now. Good morning. What's up, my man?
Good morning. How you been?
Pretty well, thank you. Why is football film watching so important to you?
Well, it's the key component. If you think of all the things that the coaches have to do, I don't know that there's a football coach in America that would have anything to do all day if they didn't have to watch film, because it's the center of everything. I always refer to it as the coaches or the film department is the hub, the coaches are the spokes, and the players are the tire. You don't have a good hub, that tire is going to collapse.
So, Chad, who with the Coaches Technology Convention, just to lay a little groundwork for those who don't know of your work with the Vikings, your film watching prowess, Football Film Federation, stuff like that. Who taught you to have the passion to do it the right way? Hey, like, where did you get bit by the film watching bug?
Really, 1989 with Larry Kohout, who was the Vikings' second film director. He was there 1980 to 2001, and I met him and was really interested in what he was doing, and he shared so much with me. And the techniques and things that the guys that really did it in the 80s all the way through where we're at today were extraordinary, because you think about men that learned how to develop 16 millimeter film, shoot that film, not miss a play, have it perfect the way that the coaches wanted it, and then transition into tape, and then transition into digital. You're talking about people that have made a jump over 3 different mediums of technology.
It's difficult to imagine because I remember, when I first met you, when I started calling Vikings games in 2002, with some of the hires that would be made, the like say defensive coordinator, the talker would be, is so-and-so willing to become more technologically inclined? Is so-and-so willing to work? Does it all have to be the whiteboard and stuff like that? Or, the technological aspects that were ascending and that were emerging? Well, not every coordinator was comfortable with that. So that's 20 some odd years ago. Look where it is now with that device they call the Cowboy, where they can just go back and forth, super fast, switch angles, stuff like that. I mean, you've seen it longer than me, man. It's just crazy, isn't it?
Well, if you think about it, until 1985, the Vikings were using 16 millimeter film. After that, they transitioned into beta tape. Before 1985, no coach in football watched an intercut, meaning sideline followed by end zone of the same play. They would shoot the film, and then when the film was done, they would give the offensive line coach and the defensive line coach, just the end zone copy. They were never watching the sideline, all 22.
Wow.
If you will, until 1986, when they started making the intercut, which they could take the sideline play followed by the end zone play. Now all that stuff happens so fast. And what Nick Miller and Logan Peterson and the staff that are out there, what they do is they're also shooting now a second end zone from the opposite angle, and then a wide end zone. So they're looking at, scoreboard, sideline, end zone, wide end zone on every play. And then TV, of course, also what they call intercut that into this film as well.
All right. So down memory lane we go. Chad Ostlund, 9 to noon. So how long, to your knowledge, Chad, have coaches been watching practices back? Because I can't imagine if you got to splice this film, if you got the interface bit just to get 2 angles, are we really going to watch every practice back from watching each play 5 times? Like, how long has that been around?
Well, I would say probably really the mid-30s when they really started using film. The guy that really invented a lot of the things grew up here in Minneapolis. Sid Gilman, who ended up later on being graduated from Minneapolis North High School, like Sid Hartman, a lot of other greats that came out of there. But then later on, after he went to Ohio State and coached in some colleges, he became the Rams head coach. He was the first person to hire a full-time film editor, and the guy's name was Mickey Dukich, but they nicknamed him the Splicer because he had spliced film. Well, what Sid Gilman did with his family, who owned 4 movie theaters in North Minneapolis, the film would come in of a major motion picture, and they'd have a newsreel at the beginning. Well, he'd splice out all the football plays and then keep them. So when they'd send it back, it'd be less the coaching film or the coaching highlights. And he started doing that from an early age. But every single team that he touched, the Rams, the Chargers, the Oilers, the Philadelphia Eagles, when he got there, they hired a full-time film director. So it's, in the history of the NFL, there's been, since 1956, there's been 91 different men or women that have had that job. The Bears have a female video director that happened 2 years ago. So that's part of the whole thing with the conference is, we're trying to teach kids, hey, you can come in here and learn this, whether you're in high school, in college, and this can be an entire career. One guy that we're recognizing is Bob Marcus. Bob Marcus grew up in Minneapolis, went to Minneapolis Edison High School, was the first ever full-time film director at the Minnesota Gophers, hired by Lou Holtz in 1985. So Bob did that job for 20 years, and he and I became friends when I was a student there and worked with him. And he really wanted to get with the Vikings. Well, later on, I had, some input into that. One of my good friends, Mike Ayers, really pushed to have Bob hired as the Viking film person, and he got hired in 2001 and then became the full-time film director in 2002 when Mike Tice became the coach. And then he did that for 20 years, and he's since retired.
All right, so it's footballfilmfederation.org. Footballfilmfederation.org. It's the Coaches Technology Convention. It's about a month from now, Saturday, April 26th, Sunday, the 27th. So you just kind of touched on it a little bit, Chad, but the Coaches Technology Convention / conference, for those who go to the website and then become inclined to go to the convention, like what are they getting into?
Well, they're going to be, being able to get resources from a number of people. We have the video director from Ole Miss, for example, is one of the prime speakers. We got speakers from colleges and high schools throughout the country that are coming in, but they get to meet directly with technology experts and get that information and bring it back to them. For like a high school coach, for them to come in, they might be coaching in the game, but their responsibilities are making sure that the game's filmed, the headsets are working, the iPads are working. They're going to get a workflow and examples of things that they can do that'll help their team be better right away. In addition, we're going to have a special meeting just for hockey coaches on Saturday morning from 11 o'clock, emerging technology that is affordable and something that they've never been exposed to. So that's just kind of a 1 hour free thing that we're doing for high school hockey, or I shouldn't say high school, all levels of hockey. Coaches would be welcome to come to that as well.
Chad, time for 2 more. When it comes to film watching of football, all 22, the most advanced that we have right now, True Media or whatever, what are some common mistakes people make watching football film?
Well, the common mistake is probably just not studying it with the depth of knowledge that they might have. I mean, the more film you watch from that standpoint is getting, not necessarily looking at the formation, but looking at the details, the little things. Working with guys at the Vikings like Paul Wiggin, Mike Ayers, Leo Lewis, we used to watch and break down opponent scout film, and all 4 of us had a different thing that we're looking at. And there might be little details like, oh, that's this receiver because, look, he has a little towel out there. So identifying the player, what the player's doing, what the play is all about, and then that all comes together with the coaches. But, you have a lot of people, for example, Bud Grant, he'd watch the coaching film, he'd watch it one time through, and that was enough. But then you'd have a guy like Jerry Burns, offensive coordinator, John Michaels, offensive line coach. They might watch the plays over and over and over. they would only shoot probably about 400 feet of film of practice back in those days. Now every single drill, practice period, inside run, 7-on-7, team, all those various periods are all captured, marked, and done. So when KOC and those guys walk in from the practice field, that film's already up and ready to go, and they're analyzing it. And they're analyzing it not only from the different periods, but they're analyzing what went well, what didn't go well, as they put together their whole plan to execute it on Sunday for a game.
So where do you find yourself, or where with film watching of football, the elite film watchers, where do you start with individual plays? Or is it possible to even state, okay, everybody starts here? Because say you have 2 tight ends and a tailback, say you got 5 wide empty backfield, just thinking of offense. Say you have a 3-4 hybrid with floaters or quarters defense or whatever. Is there one place to start?
Well, you're watching. A lot of times, if you have the ability to sort the plays, by big plays or by turnovers, things of that nature, you're studying a little bit more of the extremes. Whereas if you're just watching the plays in sequence, you might not see the pattern of what the team is trying to do. So it depends what you're doing. Are you evaluating the film to look at talent? Are you evaluating the film to prepare for a game? The hardest thing, and that's why this conference has become so important, is at the lower levels, high school, Division III, Division II, NAIA, their film is very suspect. To the standpoint where it's too far away, you can't identify numbers.
Right.
You can't see things. The plays are cut off before the play is over. They don't get all the kids in the shot. And that's what we're trying to fix, because ideally, if you get that film right, that leads to those players getting better evaluated to get an offer from the University of Minnesota or North Dakota State or the big time where they want to go and play. If you have bad film, your kids don't get looked at. They might get overlooked. Doesn't mean they don't have the talent, but you got to have the film to be able to verify what's there, because, to quote Ed Sable, it all starts with the film. The film is everything that we have. If you don't have the film, you've got nothing to go from. You can go from your memory. And this is, for example, a good friend of mine that got hired at the Vikings by Bud Grant. And part of the reason he got hired was they'd walk off the field and say, wow, that was a great practice. And after he got hired, said, well, you're forgetting about the first 15 plays, which were terrible. And these are the things that we need to correct. Some of those things may not have been filmed, but when you can recall it, look at the play calls, evaluate that, it helps in your decision making. I always say that coaching film is decision support. The coaches have to make decisions. Well, if they have bad film, boy, it's tough to make good decisions.
Lastly, Chad, with Football Film Federation, footballfilmfederation.org. Really enjoyed the chat, too, in depth as it was. So with the Coaches Technology Convention, April 26th and 27th, who should attend this conference and why?
Any high school coach, any college coach, we've got 360 high schools in Minnesota alone. If you count Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota, that's 1,084 schools. All those schools can get better from something like this. Colleges alone, we got 30 colleges that play football in our state. All those schools need a lot of help. I spend a lot of time talking to people. There's a guy named Pete Pino who runs the NFL Dub Center. The Dub Center is where all the film from every college gets sent to the NFL Films. Then the Dub Center equitably sends that out to all 32 teams at the same time. Pete Pino that's ran that, we're basically giving an award called the Pete Pino Award, and that's given out to one school at each level of football, and that's it. So meaning FCS, Division II, Division III, NAIA. There's only 4 of those awards given out. In addition, this Bob Marcus Award, which we're going to give out to the best high school coaching film to recognize and honor Bob for the contributions that he's made to the game. This is just a thing that's really below the surface, because you talk about a football coach, and he's only as good as these 5 legs of the table, and that's the equipment manager, the trainer, the public relations director, the film director, and the assistant coaches. Without those guys, any of those things that are weak, you're going to talk about a table that's going to collapse.
My man, I greatly appreciate the time. Look forward to seeing you soon. Best of luck with the conference, footballfilmfederation.org, and have a good day.
You bet. Thanks.
See ya. That's Chad Ostlund with footballfilmfederation.org. It's 11:20 in the neighborhood. The neighborhood being FM 100.3, KFAN. We established a very aggressive theme today, and in thematic fashion, probably will stay that way, just to see what kind of traction is gained on Tuesdays. Having it become a Talkback Talker Tuesday is not new. But to have it become a Talkback Talker Tuesday, dealer's choice. That means the listener deals the topics, 9 to noon opines. Sometimes with the opining, sometimes with the sharing from yours truly. Well, sometimes you're the peacock, sometimes you're the feather duster.
I always love that one.
And that's been the learning point and the teaching point today for yours truly. We thoroughly have enjoyed it, and we have more talkbacks to play around the corner on KFAN. Finchy confirmed 9 a.m. tomorrow, 9 to noon. Tomorrow is also a John Hines Day, correct?
John Hines, 11 a.m. mañana, I believe.
Yep. So tomorrow, a coach's covenant. By the way, speaking of coaches, at noon today, carried on your home for everything Gophers athletics, FM 100.3 KFAN. Nico Medved, the new coach of the Golden Gophers basketball team. He's going to have his introductory press conference. Opportunity to meet Nico Medved via press conference. That takes place 30 minutes from now. And 25 hours from now, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings. He does a free agency / draft related presser. I believe that too would be carried at FM 100.3 KFAN.
Calendar's really heating up right after noon. It's really getting busy. It's like immediately 12:05, stuff gets hot.
Yep. Couldn't have it.
And we're here for it.
Couldn't have it at 11:30, but that's okay. You know, it's to each their own, and gives 9 to noon the opportunity to cut the bad boys up and opine the next day. 3-2 and opine the next day. Now, Chris Finch, 9 o'clock tomorrow. KFAN, 9 to noon production. John Hines, coach of the Wild, 11 a.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow should be a Florio day, and looking forward to all of that live interaction. But speaking of live interaction, the one-sided nature of it is you leave talkbacks, and we react to them. Yours truly gets the opportunity to sit back and sip cognac like a French king. So bring your talkbacks to us, and bring them now. I'm the French king sipping cognac, Je m'appelle Paul, and here they are.
To the talkback machine.
Danny Hurley, I don't think, is playing the villain. He's actually acting like a petulant, spoiled child. I don't know about you, but private conversations, quote unquote, aren't normally had by yelling to everyone who can hear you within that area. If he wants to make it private, he could say that to the coach. Actually embarrassing the way he acts.
Wow, that was A+.
That's a good point.
A couple of things here. First,
you're not trying to be heard. Stop screaming in the tunnel.
First,
you know how reporters and columnists are? They want the controversy. They want the negativity.
And they want the clicks. Secondly, as I navigate this sea of button bardom.
Well, yeah, as you get away from the farm animals.
Well done on that talkback. Well done on that talkback, and an excellent utilization of the word petulant.
More talkbacks.
Hi, Nordo. Hi, PA.
Hi.
It's Max from Egan, and unfortunately, it is the end of an era for the Wolves. A very short, very fun era, but however, we ain't winning no championship this year.
What?
We don't know how to box out. Got to go back to traveling basketball and learn how to do that. And next year, Nas will probably be gone because he's going to go chase a check somewhere else. And all of our best pieces are going to be up on the trade block to get Kevin Durant. It's over. It's been fun. See you later.
What's with the assets to get Durant? I mean, you want to talk about somebody who used to be a high, and I'm not saying my man right there with the talkback, macabre-like as it was.
Oof.
I'm not saying that it was a bad talkback because it wasn't. It displayed emotion, it displayed passion, and we thoroughly enjoy that.
Take care, Polly Wally.
Now, you want to talk about rebounding? I noticed this in the series last year when the Wolves played David Roddy and the Phoenix Suns. Kevin Durant has become so much of a perimeter guy.
Yeah.
It's my man getting in there with the legs and the hips and the elbows and everything involved with rebounding. Getting in there to rebound? Nah, that ain't happening with Kevin anymore. Kevin, he doesn't rebound nearly as well as he used to. Why? Because he's not interested. So just keep that in mind. My man has Naz Reid leaving. Okay. It's interesting to watch the games with Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards, and Jaden McDaniels. And then, like, well, forget McDaniels. To read with the two alphas. He just gets lost in the shuffle, man. And I you know, that's another one for Finchy tomorrow. What do you think of this? And you can look at the box scores and figure that out. But secondly, it's the end of an era. I mean, with all due respect to my favorite basketball team, when did we ever have an era? I mean, when did we ever have a generation? When did we ever have a time on which we can call back and be like, that's it? As the kids would say, that right there, that's it. 03, 04, 02, 03, whatever it was.
Well, do you consider that stretch an era? I mean, albeit it was it was first round losses each year, save for 04.
Yeah,
but I think
last year
the
was
dream
a run.
was there, right?
Last year was a run.
It
wasn't an era.
I agree with that. Yeah.
What about the dream?
Well, I was just thinking about the KG feels like an era to me. I mean, you lose in the first round every year, and I know that 04 was that was in itself kind of felt like a run. But I think there was a reason to dream with those teams for that 4 or 5 year stretch, maybe.
From Steph and KG through MB3 with Spree and Sammy C and KG, and then the end of an era. Yeah, that you're right. But this is
not an era.
I mean, it's the Edwards era, but it had Cat, and now it doesn't. So it's an ever-changing era. But no, this is an era. But it's not the end of an era because Anthony Edwards ain't going anywhere. Now, if Steph Curry starts coming back and playing, you just better think about this.
No love for my Golden State Warriors. You beat Dallas at home, the world champions, on Saturday night. Go back to L.A. the next night and beat the Clippers. They're incredible.
With Steph, they're incredible. So plenty of love for the Golden State Warriors.
Talkback machine.
What's up, fellas? Joe the mailman here.
Hey, Joe.
Just want to check in on corners. I know we did a lot this offseason to shore up the cornerback room. It's always been a spot of contention for me since going back to Xavier's a couple of good years, but it's always been a ragtag bunch. But I'm curious if you have thoughts about Asante Samuel Jr. Did they maybe look into him, or is he too rich for our blood, or thought that would have been a nice way to shore up the core? Skull, baby.
Well, as the longer that Asante Samuel Jr. and anybody is available, it becomes less and less too rich for blood, doesn't it, in that case?
Yeah, they generally, when they have name value and some Football Film Federation-related equity, that means they're asking for too much money, comparatively speaking to other corners who are close or players. And that seems to be the league-wide opinion of several teams. Because if you're Asante Samuel Jr.'s representation, you ain't just calling one team and then not getting what you want and then taking the football and sitting in the corner. Doesn't work like that. From a cornerback standpoint, with Asante Samuel Jr., I just haven't done a lot of work on him, haven't thought a lot about him, haven't been told anything about him. So therefore, if those three boxes don't get checked, out, move on to somebody else. Let's see. We have Mekhi Blackman off the ACL. We have Isaiah Rodgers. We have Byron Murphy Jr. And we have Nudie. Nudie, by the way, in his second year, set to undress offenses league-wide. Ain't nobody sleeping on Dwight McGlothern, nicknamed Nudie. And you have the draft. And tomorrow begins Offensive Lineman of the Day. We'll have at least a couple tomorrow. Defensive linemen next week. And then the next week, DBs. So,
I mean, and you're missing a key name here.
Now,
what you can do, Jeff Okuda.
Thank you.
You forgot about Jeff Okuda.
What you can do, Jeff Okuda. Yes. I mean, how could I have the heart to leave out Jeff Okuda?
Depth chart finished.
You're right. I like Jeff Okuda. I'm a Jeff Okuda fan, low-key from afar, because I feel bad for him, man. It's like I started feeling bad for Eric Stokes. All right? The one-time ballyhoo Georgia Bulldog drafted in the first round by the Green Bay Packers. You know, he had so many injury problems that he just could not get out of his own way. And we've played a bunch of games now over a bunch of years, and he still has 0 interceptions. So it's like I put the game calling depth chart together for the green and gold, and I'd get to the Stokes piece, and I'd be like, damn, man, this whole thing's just sad. It's like he couldn't handle Jefferson when he was at Georgia, and J.J. was at LSU, and then now he doesn't even get a chance to handle him in the NFL because he's always hurt. Well, Okuda's kind of the same thing a little bit. He played 5 games his first 2 years, might have been 3rd overall pick in the draft. College football fans know this. Big Ten vibe guy knows this. Jeff Okuda at Ohio State, that was a badass. That was somebody who changed games. So I'm glad he's here. It has prove-it deal to it. But no, he's part of the quintet. Yeah, he's part of the fist, no doubt about it. Thank you for that update on Jeff Okuda.
Good morning, gentlemen. I am very excited to finally be able to see what J.J. McCarthy can bring to the Minnesota Vikings. I'm a Vikings fan, but I'm also a huge Michigan Wolverines fan. And watching J.J. play behind a exceptional offensive line that he had at Michigan, who all went to the NFL, one thing he did not have was exceptional wide receivers. He obviously has that in Minnesota. And match that with KOC, this is going to be something fun to watch.
All those weapons with JJPA.
Damn, it's like got weapon over here, weapon over there. Oh, you didn't see this one, right?
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Pick your poison.
It's a pick your poison situation, which is daggering free agency. We're excited to watch JJ2 next.
Hey guys, regarding the Timberwolves, last year we had an identity. We were good on defense, we were oversized, we were killing people on the boards, our perimeter players were locking people up.
Yep.
This year I don't see any of that. And our big men are getting out-rebounded, where our guards have poor control of the ball. We're just turning it over at a high rate. Our perimeter players are just getting killed in the corner. I don't know. I don't have an answer, but I'm just frustrated.
Yeah, I am too. That was an awesome talkback. And Chris Finch, who joins 9 to Noon Weekly, has shared with us identity-related comments in the past. Might fire it up again tomorrow. The talkback person with whom we text and talk back more than people know. Let's be quite honest. What was very pointed is some things that are it's like we're watching games together, man. I mean, we miss so many wide open corner threes. We give up corner threes. Not so that it's a super giant problem. I think rebounding with this team, specifically timely rebounding, is a giant problem. It can be a giant problem. And the inconsistency of some of the players, man. I mean, Julius came off that 1-month layoff just full of fury and was flirting with triple doubles nearly every single game. All right, so maybe there's some time management with Julius Randle here. His minutes seem to be in the mid to high 20s. So maybe they want to make sure they keep that groin or keep that veteran body together for the time of the year that matters most, the postseason. If Julius Randle will play minimum 31, 32 minutes in the postseason. That's my opinion. But there's still, he's come back to the pack a little bit with the productivity. McDaniels is in and out. Naz Reid fell off a freaking cliff there for a little bit offensively when Julius Randle came back. Maybe he got on Hit Legit last night. I'm with you, Mr. Talkback. Tommy Talkback, he fired a bullet right there, man. We're in lockstep with that.
Nordo, PA. Love you guys. Talked to Nordo a little yesterday texting. Johnny Broom on the show. That's cute and everything. He's a Vikings fan, and yeah, we all are here, but he is not the number 1 player in the country. It's Cooper Flagg, and it's not even close. Go Devils.
That's great, but guess what? Cooper Flagg doesn't join 9 to Noon.
Correct.
So I couldn't care less about him. Unless
he assaults the text line every single day. Biggest Duke. Yeah. He might be a Duke booster for all I know.
Great. Go Cooper Flagg. If you win the national championship, great. If you don't, that's great too. Janai Broom,
we're rooting for Janai,
and his father are card-carrying members of the radio show to which you're listening.
They're here for the boom.
And that should matter something to you when the father of one of the best college basketball players in the country, Janai Broom, is able to recite or able to hum Street Beater by Quincy Jones, God rest his soul. Janai Broom is a card-carrying member of the Love Covenant, so is his dad. Thus, in the heart of yours truly, he matters more than Cooper Flagg.
Hello, PA. This is Dave from Rochester, Minnesota.
Hi.
Heard you talking about Maryland and the difference between Maryland and Minnesota and how they attract NIL money.
I'm ready to get back.
I am originally from the Inner Harbor of Baltimore. Actually met with you once.
Yep.
And as you're well aware, Prince George County is one of the richest counties in the country.
It is.
So they do get a lot of boosters from that area. Have a good day.
Box.
Well, when I was growing up in Prince George's County, going to Apple Valley Elementary and a step away from Friendly High School, I'm telling you right now, that county I lived in was not the richest of anything at any time.
It didn't feel like one of the richest counties in the country?
Well, let's put it this way. When Miles Spires and I were stealing Wacky Pack cards from the 7-Eleven 5 miles away, and yes, we did walk to it. Why? Because we couldn't get air for the tires in our bikes, and our big wheels wouldn't go that far.
And we weren't old enough to siphon gas from neighbors down the street.
And the siphoning of the gas hadn't taken place yet. Why? Because I wasn't taught.
I always loved that one.
Prince George's County, I mean, unless Ponderosa became a massive chain that I'm missing, unless Chesapeake Bay Seafood House started elevating the frog legs on the menu and they actually caught fire, Safeway, Giant, Woodrow Wilson Bridge, go crazy, Prince George's County. I believe you. I think you're right. You know more about it than me. I'm just sharing. In the late 70s, there was nothing rich, bountiful, compelling, or wealthy with where I grew up, Prince George's County.
I got one more.
Hi, this is Dave from Owatonna.
Oh, hey, Dave.
I would like to ask a question about teams tanking to get better draft picks or more ping pong balls.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on changing it so that the top pick or the most ping pong balls would go to the best team to not make the playoffs and work down from there, so it would encourage teams to keep playing all the way through? Thanks.
Ooh, how about that?
So,
can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
That does get tricky, doesn't it? Because, like the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
I mean, those in the know what to look for. And yours truly, in the know with the association. It's an old school thing. Don't at me. Goes back to Alvin Hayes. You wouldn't know about that. When the Toronto Raptors are desperate for metaphorical ping pong balls, and they're playing two of their best players, let's say Scotty Barnes and R.J. Barrett. But Scotty Barnes is one of the 20 better players in the NBA.
Yep.
And you're in a 3-point game against the Portland Trailblazers with 2.5 minutes to go. Let's say 4.5 minutes to go. It's a spine tingler up at the Rose Garden, which isn't called the Rose Garden anymore. And then you pull Scotty the way Quentin Grimes was pulled in that Sixers game. Well, and you're playing Scotty, R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Jakob Poeltl, and whatever L's you roll out there, all between 23 and 26 minutes a game. Scotty ain't trying to play 26 minutes a game in a close game. You play Scotty 40, and everybody in the world knows that, with the exception of the Raptors. Why? Because they're playing the functioning tankability game. So therefore, if the last of the losers ended up getting the one spot, it's very convoluted. I'd have to think it out.
Well, the trouble you get is ultimately you're going to get tank. I think you get tanking in any scenario.
Yeah, all over the place.
Because if I'm the Sacramento Kings in the 9 spot right now, I'm absolutely tanking because I don't believe my team has a shot. Malik Monk's missing games. I don't have Sabonis at full strength.
Elite point.
I will actually prefer to drop out.
Yes.
of the 9 spot in the play-in
into the right spot,
into the spot to secure Cooper Flag.
Brilliant.
So I think you're gonna find it wherever you try to put that.
Great
because
point.
That's how the league has established itself.
On behalf of 9 to Noon Productions and the vast and ever expanding Love Covenant Radio Network, on behalf of the Idea Creator, Nordo, and yours truly, the Idea Executor, Paul Allen, thank you very much for your Dealer's Choice Talkbacks today.
Yeah.
We got Covenant claps for you. It went all over the place, and it was fantastic.
How was the cognac?
I don't know. I was sipping cognac like a French king, and I'm thinking of doing this every day the rest of my radio career. That whole sitting back like the French king thing and just thinking on the fly.
Not like Macron, though.
That ain't bad as long as they don't cut my pay. I might have to go ahead and do that the next 3 days. You want talkbacks? I'll give them to you every single segment the rest of my life. But seriously, that's going to become a thing, as the kids would say, on Tuesdays. And we got to pause right now because we got a very important press conference coming up at noon. So thank you, everybody, very, very much. Listen for the Talkback Talker Tuesday, Dealer's Choice, each and every Tuesday so your voice can be heard. Back after this. We got to go in a hurry. Nico Medved, congratulations on the Golden Gophers basketball post on behalf of yours truly, Paul Allen, and KFAN's 9 to Noon radio show. Best of luck with the NIL, and best of luck with the players and stuff like that. Thanks for the good times you provided at Colorado State. And thank you, everybody, for the good times you provided 9 to Noon today. And specifically with the Talkbacks and the Dealer's Choice. Eric Nordquist produces, and I'm Paul Allen. Coach's Covenant tomorrow. Chris Finch at 9, John Hines at 11, and Mike Florio talks like a coach, but he's going to be on the radio show about 9:40. Likewise for young Alec at 10. Thank you very much for listening. May God bless all of you, and have a wonderful day.
We lucky we got 'em.
Oh, good.
If it's good news or money, leave a message.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.